Okay, so I'm going to back that up one.
Okay, we are live.
Okay. So what are you seeing right now? Just you seeing the presentation?
Well, I'm seeing my presentation. So we have people logging on, so we'll give everybody another minute or so. Another
Okay.
couple minutes.
But I'm not seeing, I don't think I have access to the computer yet.
Good evening, everybody. We're just going to give it another minute or so till a few more people log in. We actually have a pretty good crowd tonight. We have 23 people logged in tonight.
Wonderful. That's really, really great.
All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to the third Thursday. We had a bit of a hiatus for a couple of months, primarily because we just were a little challenged to getting things organized to present the third one. So I apologize for that. We're going to try to stay back on track with that. A couple of the people we were talking to about doing some work for us were not able to. One of them was planning on broadcasting from Greenland, and that did not work out. So we're struggling a little bit with some of those logistical issues. But tonight we're actually having a very interesting presentation by Bill Carton. Bill is a past Commodore of the Schooner Association. And tonight I'll be talking about his 2015 trip with a few folks on Mark Falsteck's Alden Malabar VI. So let me get to the next slide. Here we go.
Okay. So at this point, how do I actually call up my presentation?
Well, hang on a second, Bill. Let me finish.
All right.
All right. Yeah. Okay. So a little bit about Bill. Don't know how I managed to stop the slideshow, but I did. A little bit about Bill. Bill's a retired chemist, avid sailor, and has been fishing. He's been sailing on schooners, among other vessels, for about 30 years, anywhere from Maine to Virginia. He's been in a lot of the events and festivals and lots of times on the water doing deliveries, etc. Bill is past Commodore of the American Schooner Association and is currently the ASA quartermaster. So when you send information, when you put orders in to buy things, they go to Bill and he will get them out to you. Bill is a member of the Monmouth Boat Club in Red Bank, New Jersey. And he's actually currently managing a 1900 22-foot BB Cronenshield catboat that was built by Bob Polsch in 2011. An absolutely spectacularly beautiful boat. Bill's also a member of the North Shrewsbury Ice Boat and Yacht Club and is sailing. Do you sail an ice boat, Bill? I'm not sure.
Yes, actually I do. The last slide is the ice boat that Walter and I play on.
Okay. So basically, that's Bill, and he has some new credentials to his name. So Bill, if you could share some of those with us.
Yeah, I retired a year ago, and one of my bucket lists was to get my captain's license, and I did a course. I took the tests, and I am now a qualified captain at 25 gross tons and a first mate at 25 gross tons for inshore and offshore with a sail auxiliary. So I'm hoping to add to that and do a little bit more sailing and doing some deliveries. So I'm real happy to acquire that captain's license.
So Bill's been working at this a long time. So congratulations, Bill. It's good to hear that come through for you. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Paul Gray. I'm the Secretary Treasurer of the Schooner Association. Had a little bit of technical difficulty getting started this evening. Hence, I've got my headphones on. I usually don't resort to using these, but I had some problems with one of my computers and had to switch off to another one. So, Bill, you've got your PowerPoint up and running, right? It's in the background.
I do, yes.
Right, so
Yep.
I'm going to stop my share, and you can go ahead and share your PowerPoint slideshow and start walking through.
Okay. Let's see if I can get this operational. And do I hit share screen or?
Yes, you do.
Okay, share screen. And let me hit this. And can everybody see the Schooner Adventurer?
At this point, we're not seeing anything, Bill.
Okay, let's see if we can.
So when you do your share,
Yep.
just make sure you share the screen that has the, here we go. Hang on a second. Yep, there we go. We got it.
Okay, so in the presentation, I will have 4 videos that I will be showing, and I'm hoping that they will come through. But you should be seeing Schooner Adventurer at the Gloucester Schooner Fest. Mark Falstick loved sailing the Gloucester Schooner Fest. And in 2013, he tried going there, but ran into engine trouble where he had to bail out in the Delaware River and come back to Annapolis. He then tried, I was on board the 2014 trip, and we got to Cape May, and we had tremendous north winds, 30-knot north winds for 4 days. And it took us 4 hours to round Cape May to get to the Cape May Coast Guard station, into Cape May, and to anchor up. And we sat there. So we never made the window to make it in 2014. So our third try was in 2015, and this is with the crew of the deliveries, the races, going from to and from Provincetown, doing the New London Great Chesapeake Bay Schooner race. So it's a full adventurer on adventurer. Mark Falstick was a fantastic captain. I learned a tremendous amount from him. He knew the boat inside and out. He sailed it and could turn it on a dime. It was wonderful sailing with him. And the most appreciative thing is I've sailed with Mark probably for 20 years, and I've never seen him raise his voice ever. He was the most calm, cool, collect captain I've ever sailed with. So it was Adventurer is a John Alden Malabar VI. It was built in 1925, launched in 1926. There was 5 other Malabar VIs built during that time frame. And it was originally known as Freya. And when Mark obtained it, he did change it to Adventurer. You'll see, length overall, 52.4. Length on the waterline was 39.9. And she had a spar length of 65 feet. This was our itinerary for 2015. And you can see we started off in August and we went all the way to October, leaving Annapolis, Maryland, to go to Providence, and then over to Gloucester to do the Gloucester Schooner race. And these are just the events we partaked in. Was the Gloucester Schooner Fest, the Fisherman's Cup. We did not participate in the Provincetown rendezvous. We initially started it. However, we hightailed it to New London to do the New London Schooner Festival. And then we delivered the boat from New London to back down to the Chesapeake and did the Great Chesapeake Bay Schooner Race and then the Cambridge Rendezvous. So this is Adventurer. She has a full complement of sails. This is her with a golly wobbler during the Great Chesapeake Bay Schooner Race. And you can see the mainsail actually has a reef in her, a single reef, but we could still fly the topsail under a single reef. So you could put up a lot of sail on this boat, and we've hit 10 knots with this boat on a broad reach with everything up when she was blowing, and she's a really seaworthy vessel. And during the races, any overnight races, we did sail with a complement of 9 individuals, where there was 4 people on each shift. And we did a 4-hour shift, and Mark would float in between the 2 classes. So just to give you what Adventurer looks like, on the top side, there's a lot of bright work. Here she is down in Fells Point on one of the Great Chesapeake Bay Schooner races to show her in her glory. She is for sale right now. Please, if you have interest, give Lynn Falstick a call. It is a beautiful boat, and the boat right now is in Cambridge, Maryland. This is the galley. When I first started sailing on Mark's boat, I was chief cook and bottle washer from the get-go, and the galley is right next to the nav station. So then I became the navigator on top of the cooking. But you can see in this, you have a wonderful amount of cabinetry, both above and below, and then even on the floor end was all the refrigeration for the vessel. You have a wonderful propane stove here with 2 burners and a wonderful oven where I've baked many pies and chickens in that oven. Across from that is the nav station. You had radar, you had 2 GPS systems, a lot of redundancy on the boat, and Mark was always aware of where he was based on you not only had to plot it in the captain's log, but you also had to plot it on the chart. So he always had a manual chart out, and it was plotted on the chart itself as well as in the captain's log. And any race we did, it was an hour, every hour we plotted. On any delivery, we did it, every 2 hours, maybe every 4 hours, depending upon how long the deliveries were. But he was very adamant right from the get-go to actually start a captain's log and continue it. A lot of sailors in the boat club I belong to don't have a captain's log, and it kills me every time I sail on their vessels. But I try to instill upon them. It's one of the best things to have. Just for memories. You can put a lot in it. This is from the chart table looking forward. The captain's quarters is on your left. On the right-hand side, on that shelf, is a 55-gallon water tank. And under Mark's bunk, the captain's quarters, there's another 45-gallon water tank. As you move forward, there's a door that actually closes wonderfully into the head and then into the V berth. The V berth can fit 4 people easily. It's a big, big V berth. But that door would close. It would slide past, it would close at the head to use the head. And then it would actually slide forward so that you actually had your own stateroom in the V berth and the head. And the door just opened and closed for the 20 years that I've sailed with Mark so wonderfully. The boat never racked. It was absolutely wonderfully solid. So here's our crew that was taking the boat from Annapolis, Maryland to Provincetown. We have on the left Tom Curtis, who is a member of the Ice Boat Club that I belong to, as well as Monmouth Boat Club. Walter Soden, who has his 50-ton license. Keith Story, or actually George Chapman, who is standing up. He works for Johns Hopkins University, and he gets to drive the Hubble Space Telescope 1 day a month, and he sends us beautiful pictures of what he captures. And then Keith Story on the right is, I've sailed with Keith on Bill Camella's boat, Sabre 28. You put Keith behind the wheel. We call him the driver. And I've given him the wheel at Atlantic Highlands, and it's a 12-hour trip to Oyster Bay, up the Hudson River, the East River, and then the Long Island Sound. And Keith will drive the boat for a full 12 hours. So we nicknamed him the driver, solid seaman. Really, really great guy, and he brews his own beer, and he always brings a whole lot of his beer that he brews with him on the sailing adventure. So we start off in Annapolis, Maryland, work our way to the C&D Canal, go through the C&D Canal, and then up the Delaware to Cape May. Each one of these points is a log in the captain's log. So from Annapolis, Maryland, when we left at about 10 in the morning to the tip of Cape May, when we rounded Cape May, was a full 24 hours. You know, by car, you can do this in 2 hours, but by boat, it does take 24 hours. So it's a lot of timing involved in that. So Mark loved to take the shortcut, and he would come right into Cape May. There's an old little channel, Fisherman's Channel in Cape May, and he'd bring her right up onto the beach, where we'd swear the fishermen on the beach could hit us with a plug. We were that close, and he would just come in real tight. And if you look on the charts, there is a nice little channel in there that's about 30 feet deep. But from the tip of Cape May, the Cape May Channel that you can see in this area here is about 6 miles long. And from the tip to the opening of Cape May is about 4 nautical miles. And in 2014, it took us 4 hours to do those 4 nautical miles. We were doing 6 knots by engine, banging into a wonderful North Sea. But we were only doing about 1 knot going up and down. And we tucked in there, and we went right around. If you could see this little point out that I'm pointing to, it's the Cape May Coast Guard Station. And right before that is a wonderful anchorage. But we had pulled in to the Corinthian Yacht Club and ran aground, not knowing where their channel was. And we sat there for about 12 hours until we popped off. We were very happy. We weren't too excited. We went over to, in front of the Cape May Coast Guard Station and anchored up and to wait. And about, that was about 12 hours that we sat there. And after we dropped anchor, in came AJ Meerwald, who was also trying to sail north. And she came in, and she actually tied up to Utz's Marina. So the two of us just sat there for 4 days. And at that point, I had said in 2014 to Mark, hey, my window's closing. I got to get back to work. So we had to go to Plan C on that. So in 2015, we made a wonderful turn, and you can take from Cape May to Sandy Hook is 120 miles. And then from Sandy Hook to Block Island is 130 miles. So you can run the coast up and then bang a right and run the coast, or you can shoot straight across, which is 210 miles. If you do the math, you save about 10 miles. That's it. I mean, it is, but you get to go off, 45 miles offshore if you run the straight line. Due to our weather, we decided to run offshore and went off and did a direct line from Cape May to Block Island. So it was a great sail. And again, this is the captain's log. And you can see from, we were off the fuel dock in Annapolis at 9:50. And if you come down about midway at 10 a.m. the next day, we had just rounded Cape May and did 129 miles motoring, up the Chesapeake or down the Chesapeake and up the Delaware, I got that backwards, actually up the Chesapeake and down the Delaware. So this is the captain's log on Mark's boat. So you can see what we're doing throughout each of the legs that we were doing. This is Keith Story, the driver. We had a wonderful broad reach. It was light, so we did have the engine running to keep, at 5.5, 6 knots to make our timeline across. This is, 4 o'clock was always happy hour on Mark's boat. One of the big things as he got older, he would, ask me, "Hey, Bill, I would really like to be on the hook somewhere around 3:30, cocktail in hand at 4. I really don't like doing 24 hours, but doing 210 miles, you got to do a 24-hour. But this is George, Tom, Captain Mark, and driver. Walter was driving the boat. I was taking the photographs. So we did have a great, wonderful meals and cocktail hours on this vessel. Setting sun looking west. You don't see that too often, but when you're 45 miles offshore, you get to see a beautiful setting sun. And I'm going to try my first video to show you a little bit about the boat on a broad reach.
That is. Hey, Tom. We're tracking a video right now. Blue water sailing. Yeah. And driver. He's story. Oh yeah, look at that.
And just that 2 or 3 minutes that I'm taking the video, it's actually less than a minute. Each video is less than a minute. The sun dropped. Our American Schooner Association, Burgee, flying high.
And the setting of the sun. Very, very cool. Tonight.
So the next morning, the night went very successfully. We were coming into Block Island and we saw a wonderful batch of porpoises. There was probably 15 in this, and just want to give you a little action first thing in the morning.
Coming back. That is cool.
So I have quite a few videos of them throughout. They were with us for about 20 minutes, but this was the first of many videos.
Yeah, they're not, yeah. Hey, good morning. Good morning.
So we made it to Block Island and spent the night in Block Island. It was a very, very wonderful trip across the ocean. And blue water sailing, it's amazing being 45 miles off of Sandy Hook, how clear and beautiful the water is. But even, one of the sad points is, way out there, you could still pick up balloons, which we, did collect about 6 balloons on our way into Block Island. But we made it to Block Island, and you can see down here, Block Island at that point, the next morning, both Keith Story and Walter Soden jumped off the boat and took the ferry into New London to grab the train home. So the 4 of us took the boat and it's about 85 miles from Block Island to Provincetown. And we then, left there about 11 o'clock in the morning. So if you do the math, you wind up in the middle of Cape Cod at about midnight. And I had to watch from midnight to 4. And I came aboard, I came up and I took the helm, I went down, was down below, and George and I were on watch at midnight to 4, and the captain was going down, and I had talked to him, and I came up and Tom was driving, and Tom said, hey, that big bright tower on Provincetown, which is Pilgrim Tower, beautiful bright light. And he says, just aim for that. You have no problem. So I took helm at about 5 of midnight from him. And I was getting my bearings, looking around, making sure I could see at night. And I looked down at the binnacle and I looked up, and it was complete black darkness. It was a really dark night. And I was like, oh my goodness, what the hell did I do? Did I steer the boat left, right? And I'm looking all around and it is just black. Well, I found out when we got to Provincetown that the Pilgrim Tower is wonderfully lighted until midnight. And at midnight, it goes dark. So we didn't have the beacon to steer to. So about 3 seconds, about 3 minutes of panic of not seeing, a sight line. It was pretty adventurous, but we then wound up going into Provincetown, going to Flyers Marina, which a friend of mine that sails on Mark's boat, John Santos, graciously had a mooring for us with a 12-foot dinghy with a nice little outboard. So we had easy access to and from his marina to the dock, which was the mooring. So it was real nice pulling in there at about, I would say 4 o'clock in the morning, we had pulled into Provincetown. So in Provincetown, the first thing we did was actually drop the keel of his 110-year-old Rhodes 19. He was restoring, and we dropped the keel, helped him drop the keel first thing in the morning, and then he took us out for ice cream, and we walked Provincetown, and it just happened to be their theme for the month was Candyland. So every single house was dressed as Candyland. So as we walked up to his favorite ice cream shop, and where he bought us all ice cream for helping him drop the keel on his 19-foot Rhodes 19. It was just absolutely wonderful. Here's George in front of one of the homes. It was really pleasurable, real fun. They got a lot of historic buildings in Provincetown. I recommend it highly to go visit it. And if you're going by boat, Flyers Marina is a wonderful, wonderful facility. We actually took us, after the ice cream to this church, and it's spectacular. They're actually looking, as you can see, the steeple is actually tilting to the right a little bit, and it is in the process of failing, and they're looking for funds to actually restore that steeple, the bell tower, on it. But when we walked in, it was a luscious, beautiful church. I mean, just magnificent. And you could see the columns, the architectural. But then when you get up really, really close to this building, the inside, this is a flat wall. This is all artwork that was actually painted back in the 1800s by the original painter. And there is no architecture there. That is a flat wall that is painted to show columns and that enclave. And again, we were just photographing these beautiful columns and these inserts, but this is all a flat wall. And it was done by a Captain Joseph Atkins, and he was 81 years old when he painted this church in 1847. So pretty spectacular, and an artist. So that's one of the things that I highly recommend to go see if you are in Provincetown. So I left Mark for 2 weeks to work. I was working at the time in 2015 as a chemist, and I had to run to Tennessee for 2 weeks to work at a plant, and came back. And John Santos was very nice enough. I was looking to get a ride from Provincetown into Boston, but he said, "Oh, just take my Honda Pilot, and you can have it for 2 weeks since you're coming back." So George, Tom, and I jumped into the Pilot, and we took it home. And I decided, I'm going to be nice, and I'll get it all detailed and cleaned up really, really nice. And as I was in the detail shop, I know John and everybody in New England are big New England Patriot fans. I decided to plaster on the back of his pickup truck, on the back window, a very, very big Jets sticker decal. And I drove it up there. We parked it in his yard. We jumped aboard, that night, and it's about 55 miles from Provincetown across Cape Cod Bay to Gloucester to get there in the morning. So nobody knew about it except for I did show Mark right before we left the docks what I did. And it was about 3 weeks before actually John noticed that he's been driving around his vehicle with a Jet sticker on his tail end. And when I got a phone call, it was a pretty hot topic. It was pretty enlightening. But we arrive at Gloucester, and we have Carl and Daisy Nell's pirate ship, as I call it, but she is a schooner, and it's a wonderful vessel. And pulling into Gloucester, it's just a real wide, wonderful experience to pull into Gloucester Harbor. And I've pulled into Gloucester Harbor a few times, and I've always seen this schooner with raped masks, but I've never seen it do the Gloucester schooner race. So to that chagrin, I really don't know much about that vessel. But it was the first year that Columbia actually partaked in the Gloucester Schooner Festival. So there was a lot of big doings. We had a wonderful, we actually had dockage at the Gloucester House. So we were very fortunate with that. And right next to us was Hindu, which was a real fun event. but you can see that the masts of the schooners Columbia and Adventure. The next day was the Parade of Sails, which is a real fun event. Everybody partakes, and you have all different types of vessels that you can see. I mean, from motorboats to sailing vessels to even rowing. We have Dick and Lee Woodling's Adventure. And in front of that is when I was actually driving the Honda Pilot back to Provincetown, as I was going over the bridge, I saw coming through the canal this big blue vessel, schooner. And I was like, ooh, that's about the same size as Mark's boat. And this schooner is Norwal, which is a Cherubini staysail schooner. And I saw her coming through the canal. And I was like, ooh, they're that's going to be Mark's competition in this race. So just wanted to show the Woodlings boat. They're wonderful. Dick and Lee are absolutely fantastic. And I have a story about Lee and I on a cornhole tournament back in Provincetown after the Fisherman's Cup. So we're heading out after the Parade of Sails. We head out, and it was a beam reach race. However, since the way the Gloucester Schooner race runs it, they have it's a lazy 8 race where you don't have to jibe the boat. You basically on the leeward pin, you port tack it, and on the windward pin, you starboard tack it. So it's a little bit of a lazy 8 race, and it was more of a close haul race, and then a broad reach back. So it was they wanted to go beam, but the wind shifted at the right time, so it was pretty close haul to windward, and then a nice broad reach back. So during the Parade of Sails, one of the vessels that we did see was a real nice rowing skiff built, and I've seen this vessel quite a few times, and it's always great to see that in Gloucester Harbor. So at the start of the race, I'm a dinghy sailor, so I sail on Tuesday evenings every night at my boat club, and so the racing start is pretty easy, and we got off to a great start. We were first off the line, and by I would say a full minute before the next boat crossed. But the next video, about 3 minutes into it, Schooner Columbia came up, hot on our trails, and I just want to show the start of the race of this video.
Man, she is gorgeous. Look at that fisherman pulling. Woo! Oh, he flies it on the inside too. Look at that. Woo! And then everybody else. Great start, crew. Great start, Cat. We're walking away from everybody except for Columbia. Yes. Yes, sir. Everybody give me a big smile. Happy campers, man, I'll tell you. Real meat. Yeah, we need real meat. Everybody over on this side. Yep.
So we had a wonderful start of the race. and Columbia passed us before we got to the first mark, and they did lap us as everybody else, but we did come second from Columbia. But the most photogenic vessel and the prettiest vessel, I feel, is the AJ or the Liddy G. Howard. Every time I've taken a photograph of this vessel, it just comes out perfectly, beautifully. And the Liddy G. Howard is out of New York, and it's just a beautiful, schooner, absolutely gorgeous. And she also flies her schooner on the inside. But she does have to strike it to tack. This is Heart's Desire, which is a Malabar schooner. It's a beautiful vessel. I met Tom Hobart and his wife back in probably 2012 at the Mystic Seaport. And they gave me a wonderful tour of the vessel. It's absolutely gorgeous. And she was doing she had a grant and doing her thesis paper. She was a PhD doing a thesis paper on the Fukushima meltdown in Japan. She was looking at shellfish on the Atlantic coast, looking at baseline radiation to see how much radiation would come across, around from the Pacific to the Atlantic. And she was doing all baseline up and down the coast of New England of the oysters and clams. So it was real neat speaking with her. Very, very intelligent. Had a wonderful time, but here they are, sailing their schooner. And I believe Heart's Desire is in Martha's Vineyard currently. And this vessel, probably everybody knows, is the Green Dragon, owned by Andy and Amy Bezanson, formerly owned by Al Bezanson, the greatest storyteller that I know. Wonderful seaman, great sailor, real fun to hang out with. However, it was also, they are Patriot fans and didn't like all the hubbub of the deflate gate of Tom Brady. And they actually hauled their boat to actually place on the down on both sides free Brady. So real fun picture, but I do have a
Way to go, Green Dragon! Look at that, free Brady!
So he's a great character. This is Renegade. I believe it's Renegade. Correct me if I'm wrong. Dan Collier and Diane, wonderful, wonderful people sailing. Real wonderful boat. And during the whole race of the Gloucester Schooner race, Norwal was right behind us the whole time. And on the upwind leg, she would get in to within 2 or 3 boat lengths of us. But when we went downwind, she would put up a fisherman and bury her rail, and we would walk past her. So she was definitely over canvassed on the broad reach. And had she not flown that fisherman downwind, I think she would have taken second in this race.
Bill, just a time check. You got about 15 minutes.
Okay, yep. So we have, again, Liddy G. Howard and Adventure in the races. I have one more video, and then that is it. This is of in Columbia. This is the Thomas Lannon sailing, which is out of Gloucester, and she's another fast vessel. had a pretty good wind. It was probably 10 knots, 12 knots. And again, it was a close haul and then a broad reach, which made it a little bit special. And the after parties are the best to meet everybody. This is Al Bezanson and Marianne McClellan. And this is one of the whoopie pies that Al Bezanson's daughter makes for the event, which is, you know, everybody's favorite. But just getting together and meeting the crew is one of the fantastic things about both the American Schooner Association and the different schooner rendezvous that we actually partake in. We did get a wonderful, I'll run through these pretty quickly. We did get through, we got to meet Ralph Joyner, the captain of Columbia at the time, and the captain, and he gave us a wonderful tour of the vessel. Ralph Joyner, Captain Joyner, pushed a button and up popped these wonderful displays on both the starboard and port side of the vessel. It was pretty high tech. You can see just the bright work and everything aboard the schooner Columbia is fantastic. Even the belaying pins have leather straps to keep the bright clean. It's just really impressive. And, you know, just walking down past the galley, the different staterooms, you know, some of the staterooms have their own TVs with satellite. So pretty impressive. I'm just going to run through these fairly quickly. But the forecastle has 16 berths for 16 crew. And they have their own galley within themselves. So it's a pretty big vessel, and everything's laid out, and everything is, you know, pretty posh on this vessel. So when we got back after the party, we saw the author of The Tale of the Green Dragon, Captain Jay Irwin, who's one of the best storytellers I've met, a wonderful gentleman. Miss him dearly. He was sitting with a bottle of rum waiting for us to come back, and everybody did partake in that rum. And for the Fisherman's Cup the next day, to sail back from Gloucester to Provincetown, it was, if you got off early at 7 a.m., which Norwald did, and they actually came in first, I believe, we got off, we were supposed to be between 7 and 8. We actually crossed the line at 8:15, right behind Adventure, and you could take the inside route or the outside route. We elected to go out on Stillwagon's Bank, hoping for, an ocean breeze, but none was to be had. And we sat there in very big swells, and we saw about 30 whales, but we watched the whole inside fleet go by us. And after, you know, the big swells, after about the fourth slap of a big swell onto Mark's transom, he said, that's enough. We did the math, and we said, if we want to get in, we got to start motoring. So I stole a line from Green Dragon, Al Bezanson, and called up the race committee and said, we have 4 flat tires. We're bailing out of the race, and we motored in. And Adventure actually stayed out there and came in probably 10 o'clock at night. She sailed the whole race, and, you know, we motored past her, but we were in for the party, which was great. From there, we had a day, and this is where Lee Woodling and I entered a cornhole tournament at Flyers Marina, and it was 2 cornhole setups where it was elimination, and Lee and I were teamed up, and we wound up winning it all. So it was real fun. Neither of us ever played before. We're just lucky. and then we walked about town. We did not stay for the Provincetown schooner race. Mark elected to actually go to the New London, so we left Thursday morning to make it to the New London schooner race. These are just some of the sites again in Provincetown. And we entered New London with this U.S. Navy craft sitting. You could take tours of her, go fast assault vessel. And when we pulled in, the Liddy G. Howard was next to Amistad, and there was a fire ship from New York that you could take a tour of, which we did a wonderful tour of it. Here she is, restored 1950-ish fire vessel. They had a wonderful thought of christening the Oliver Perry, and it was a nice warm day, so they shot their cannons up in the air in a big arc onto the decks of the Oliver Perry. However, unbeknownst to the fire vessel, that the Oliver Perry had all their cabins open on their deck, the deck cabins all open, and everything got flooded down below. So it was a little bit of a event, and all apologies accepted. But again, this is the mast of the schooner Columbia. I noticed it in Gloucester that it's a little forward. When the sail is up, that mast is straight, but the main mast is a little peaked forward when relaxed. Here is a shot of the Amistad and other vessels at mooring. New London Harbor is a great harbor. They have free moorings. They have a beautiful dock to get to. They have really clean public restrooms. So it's a great harbor to go into. Of course, we have the home of New London is the Mystic Whaler. It's a great vessel. I've slept on Mystic Whaler about a dozen times before I actually sailed on her. I was always extra crew on board a boat, and John always gave me a berth. And I've always slept in the same berth in the great room. Every time I went aboard the boat, there was a little piece of chocolate on my pillow to welcome me aboard this vessel. So great captains, Pat and John. Love them dearly. There they are. This was actually last year. I actually sailed into New London in 2019 after going from then. So just stop by to say hello. Here's Columbia next to the Oliver Perry at the dock. We also had When and If, which is a beautiful, beautiful vessel built in 1930 for General Patton. And Zeth Salzman was the captain and owner. We had Nicholas Alley with the schooner Brilliant. So we had a lot of racehorses for this event. So having, two Alden designed schooners next to each other was a beautiful sight to see. You can see the beautiful lines in both vessels. One built in 1925 and built in 1930. Just absolutely powerhouses. I mean, just stallions. And at the captain's meeting the night before the race, I had the honor of sitting with Mark, Zeth, and Nicholas Alley. And it was a little bit, they had announced that it was going to be a shorter race. And I had said to Zeth, "You're the only one that can beat Columbia." I said, if it's a, shorter race, you're going to clean clock. But if it's a little bit longer, she's the boat to beat. She's the scratch boat. And When and If looked at me, and Zeth and said, "Are you serious?" And I said, "Yeah, you're the only boat that can beat her." This should be a puzzle with all the strings. It's I love seeing all the strings just sitting there. Looking all at the masts. Just real fun. Here's Zeth rounding. Again, it was a beam reach. And When and If led the race for every bit of it except for the last 300 yards. It did actually just step past When and If at the very end. Real fun to watch the two vessels race on this schooner. And again, the most photogenic schooner that I've seen. Every time I've taken a picture of the Liddy G. Howard, it's just the perfect photograph with their baggy wrinkles. Great vessel. We went down to the Great Chesapeake Bay Schooner Race, and here are the two vessels that started it 30 years ago, the Pride of Baltimore and the Norfolk Rebel. This is during the parade of sails prior to the race. Wednesday is the parade of sails in Lower Baltimore. We got to actually, in 2014, we actually came in first in our division. So we got to actually follow the Pride of Baltimore, who also came in first in their division. Mark takes on a lot of volunteers for the Great Chesapeake Bay Schooner Race, and this is his vessel full with volunteers and the crew having a great time during the parade of sails. And Schooner Adventurer is just a magnificent vessel to sail on. The AJ Meerwald, and then the Schooner Adventure. I was trying to line up all three Alden schooners, but I just couldn't. We had When and If, Malabar II, and Malabar VI, the Adventurer, but I could not line the three of them up to get them in. But it was a great event. What makes all these trips worth taking and having fun is not only the sailing, but the crew themselves. This is one of the gentlemen that has taught me a great deal about sailing, Tom Rueg, and another gentleman who's my partner in crime, Walter Soden. Top shelf, both of them are, Tom has his 100-ton license, Walter has his 50-ton. Both are very, very competitive, and it's real fun to sail with them. This was our log that we handed in at the end of the Great Chesapeake Bay Schooner Race in 2015. We just took those notes right from the captain's log. And this was one of the pictures that Sharon Hibbert, who also sailed in 2015 with us, took this. And I think it won the Great Chesapeake Bay Schooner Race photograph one year, 2015. That is Peter Rickner in the bow watch. And this is my last slide. Also in 2015, we got to sail some ice boats on the North Shrewsbury Ice Boat and Yacht Club. And I'm on the 50-foot vessel Rocket, which was built in 1888 and restored and is a New Jersey historic vessel from 1888. And I'm sailing with Walter and I. It's the vessel on the left that says 1888 on the sail. It's 950 square feet of mainsail. And then we have two other A boats. The one on the right is actually on a hike going to windward. We were on a broad reach, sailing on So 2015, I had a lot of sailing, both on soft water and hard water. And I thank you very much for the presentation, for providing this presentation.
Well, Bill,
Any
thank you very much.
questions?
Yeah, if we're going to do some questions, and what I'm going to ask is if you want to ask a question, just raise your hand. There's an option to raise your hand, and I'll enable your microphone, and then you can ask your questions.
And was everybody, did the videos come out okay? For the Zoom.
Yeah, they came through okay. A little choppy, but not too bad.
Do I have to give you back the screen, Paul?
No,
Okay.
Bill, I see Greg Dukowski did have a question. Are there any schooner rigged ice boats?
No, not that I know of. They're only gaffers. Yep. There's gaffers and Marconi rigs, but the gaffers are the stern steerers.
Okay, Andy, I saw your hand is raised, and you should just have to unmute to speak.
Yeah. Hey, Bill, that was an amazing presentation. We didn't really get to do as much sailing this year, and seeing all those familiar boats was a real treat. We really enjoyed it.
Thank you, Andy.
Hey, Tom, I just will turn your mic on, so you just need to unmute.
Billy,
Yes.
awesome, awesome, awesome. Well done. Great presentation. Tremendous.
Thank you, Tom.
Brings back wonderful memories. God
Thank
bless
you for teaching me what I know.
you. Both are. Every time you go on a boat, you learn something new.
Absolutely. That is so true.
Oh, many laughs. Well done. Thank you.
Again, if anyone has any questions, just there's an option to raise your hand, or you can actually click on the Q&A and type it in, and I can ask Bill the question. All right, I'm not seeing anybody else, so I will thank everybody for joining us. We had a good crowd tonight. We had 28 people at our max. I hope everybody enjoyed it. Bill, thank you very much for the presentation. I don't know when we're going to be doing the next one. I'm still trying to line up a couple of people. Still have not gotten commitments. Hopefully we'll have another one in a month, but if not, probably the month after. If by any chance anybody knows anybody who might be interested in presenting at one of these, please let me know, or just have them, whoever might be interested, to reach out to me directly. Again, thank you everybody for joining us, and look forward to seeing you the next time, and see you on the water somewhere sometime. Take care, everybody. Good night.
Thank you, and be safe. Thank you.